Hello, it's March the 30th, 2025, a little bit after 10. Thought I'd make a third video. I'm going to call this one How to Fail Upward Till You Succeed. Because I got so much experience in that. How would you like to have a counselor tell you don't bother to go to college even if you wanted to be a psychologist? You were only in the average classes. There's a reason we put you in the average classes instead of superior and advanced. Just be glad we didn't put you in the retarded classes. Well, believe it or not, a few months before he passed away, he showed up on my Facebook friend request on Facebook. We became friends. He was my counselor, but he was also my band teacher. I played musical instruments. Just to show you how much I failed upward. They had an all-county band. I think it was all-county. It may have been all-state band. And I'd been demoted from the advanced band down to the superior band. We had different levels of bands. I'm talking about courses. So I had worked myself up to advanced band status, and I guess I just had my own way of jiving with my instruments, and he threw a baton at me, that little stick that you wave around. See me after class, I think we need to demote you down. I said, okay. No problem. I got to finish out this year anyhow. That was my junior year, which is 11th grade, and there was a poster on the bulletin board in that band room, and it was for either the all-state band or all-county band. And well, I went ahead and I applied, knowing I was only about half good and half bad. I thought, what do I have to lose? So I went down there. They had me sight read music, play music from scores they put in front of me that I had never seen before. And if you weren't ever any good in music anyhow, that's particularly bad. Well, I crawled out of my my audition session, and asked myself, why in the world did I put myself through this? Because my dad had to drive me all the way across Louisville to where I tried out. About a week later, this band director and also my counselor later on came up to me and said, did you have a chance to look at the bulletin board? They listed the people who made all-county band. I said, no, didn't know a thing about it. He said, well, before you leave, take a look at it. I had made the all county band. Let's call it the all county band. I don't know if it was state or county. I had made it, and that was the highest band of the state. And do you know the next day I was put back into the advanced band? I was taken out of the superior band group and put back up to the advanced band where I had been kicked out of. I was the only person that made the L County band at my school, failing upwards, getting kicked out of advance, and then being put back up again. Next thing, it really started getting tough in college. I did get accepted. I remember the counselor said, where you want to go to college, gave me the application, or told me where to get the application. I filled it out. He said, you don't need to spend any more money for application fees. I think one trial will be enough for you. And he didn't say that with a positive frame of mind. No positive words saying your grades are so good they're going to take you, so no use to apply anywhere else. He thought, well, no matter where I was going to go with the grades I had from high school, nobody was going to take me from any place I applied to. I got in that college. Made my first F in French. Made a series of D's the first year. And then started the second year, and we start off with no F's, but C's and D's. So I pulled out and decided, this was during the Vietnam War, I decided I'd rather go to the Army than to put up with what I'm putting up with college. See, I didn't like school. I always said if my mother hadn't been a elementary school teacher, I probably would have dropped out when I was 16. So I go to the place where you sign up to go to the military and get to the very last thing. I was going to have a physical. And I found out another college was starting late. It was Western Kentucky University. They started in February instead of January for the spring semester. I thought, well, it won't do any good, but I'll call and get an appointment and see if I can get in there, because my brother had graduated from there, my mother had graduated from there. It was a family tradition, so that didn't get me in. What got me in was probably I was a high school graduate, and state colleges at that time took you if you were a high school graduate. So I get admitted, and the takeoff the first semester or two was so bad that letters were being sent home to my parents called deficiencies. That means you're D or less. Oh, brother. So, but I don't I don't do anything about it. It was a personality conflict between me and the teachers. They taught in a way I didn't understand. And so I was out of state doing something and some work one summer, and my mother calls. She said, "We got another letter from Western Kentucky University. Why didn't you tell us?" Well, you know what I thought. You didn't tell us to be expecting a letter from the president's office. I thought, oh, this is worse than I thought. And I said, okay. And she read it to me. She says, I'm the president of Western Kentucky University. And I am proud to say your son made all A's and is on the president's list as a top student. We're talking about failing upward, aren't we? So we're up there on that level now. I graduate, and I was so proud of it. I had a double major, psychology and sociology. I went to the University of Kentucky with my transcript. And my transcripts were from the first college and the second college, Western. I won't mention the first college. But it wasn't Harvard. Can I tell you, it wasn't Harvard or Yale. So here I am, going to go to see the head man of clinical psychology in Lexington, Kentucky, which was the school was University of Kentucky. You probably heard of their ball games. So I go there and tell them I came in to fill out the application to either work on a master's degree or a doctorate degree. You could skip master's and go straight to doctorate if they accepted you for that. So I said, it doesn't matter if I can't get into the doctoral program, the master's will do that, then go to the doctorate. He looks at the transcripts. I'm so proud. He looks at me again. Now this is the head of the clinical psychology department at that university. A university that wins a lot of games, sports games. University of Kentucky. He looks at me, sort of pulls his hat down, and then he had these glasses. I don't have glasses. But he pulls them down on his nose to about right there where he's looking down at me. He says, "Did you aim to apply here for a graduate degree in psychology?" And I smiled, my biggest smile, and said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Let me share something with you. With your grades over the years since you began college, there is not one college that's going to accept you in their graduate program, because you have to be good to be a psychologist. You have to have high grades. We prefer A's, but A's and B's we would have accepted probably. But you got daggone FDs and everything in between. So good luck. I'm sorry sorry about your luck. I did not have a good job after that. I was so frustrated. I'm not even sure that I applied for anything except teaching jobs, and with a bachelor's degree I could have taught. I also had earned a third. I had earned a license to teach high school. Yeah, in psychology, sociology, either one. Well, at that time, psychology and sociology had taken a great dip in high school, and it was only about one class per school. When I went to high school, there were a lot of classes. So I don't know what happened during the time that I finished my coursework at the university. But anyhow, I did stuff like substitute taught people that didn't want to be taught, because it seems like because I was a new guy on the block doing substitute teaching, they gave me the worst classes. Mostly teachers that taught low level math, and they were rowdy as you can imagine. People asked me why I didn't get a better job. I said I just want to work for myself, and I don't have to go to the same class more than once most of the time. I mean, same school. Or if I went to the same school, it'd be a different class. And then I picked up a habit with juice, drinking juice, and feeling sorry for myself. And I remember my mother. Not only had she gone to Western Kentucky University to get some of her classes, but she finished her degree at Spalding University in Louisville. So I called Spalding. I said, "Is there any chance that I could get an appointment with the head person in the psychology department?" They said, "Sure, come in tomorrow, Monday." And I did. And he looked at my transcripts. I had been to 2 colleges. He said, "Well, how you feel about coming in on probation?" Well, I thought the probation would only be for 1 semester. To get off of probation, I had to take what was called a graduate record exam and make a certain high score. He pointed this out in the school directory handbook, that if my grade point average was below a certain amount, I had to take this GRE exam and make, let's just say, 1,000, score of 1,000. Have to take it 3 times. Each time I got kicked out, and I'd say, "Hey, how does a guy like me that makes straight A's at your university each semester get kicked out just because I miss a few points on the GRE exam. So he kept saying, okay, go ahead, reapply, write a check for a GRE exam, which was costly. Make a copy, we'll put it in your file, and you can take classes another semester. Well, this went on for 3 times, till I finally got it up to the score they needed. Well, we're going to fail some more. I was failing those tests till I finally succeeded to get off probation, and then I started having problems with some of the classes that were very difficult, and so I dropped them. They were required. I dropped them because I couldn't understand the teachers. They weren't communicating in a way where I could learn enough to pass the test. So rather than to fail the class, I withdrew. I was known to withdraw a whole semester and lose all that money. And when I say semester, we're talking about 16 credit hours. And I still had to go back and take those classes, but I got to select different teachers. So I asked around who enjoyed what teacher, and then I started moving upward again until the final semester. And during that final semester, I withdrew, because in psychology at that place you're only allowed 1 B, the rest have to be A's, and I had already made a B. So when I saw certain classes, my tests were C's instead of A's. Now B's would have been okay, A's and B's, but 1 C. That's, if I may have said it wrong, you're allowed 1 C. I got it. So here I go, dropping all that money for all those courses and retaking it. And if I'd have made 1 more C, I was kicked out of the college. My chances to be a psychologist would be over. And I'll speed this up. I didn't make another C, but I failed the qualifying exam. See, they test you over every class you had, and you had to pass it. In other words, comprehensive exam. You had to remember everything you were taught, because the questions were from all those classes that you were taking. And I failed it. You couldn't take it for another year. So I paid my money, took it again, went back to substitute teaching. Next time I passed it. Then I go about 3 years. I had to take the State Board of Psychology exam, and I failed it 2 times. Too nervous. Totally too nervous. I passed the National Board exam, essay exam, But then when they wanted to talk to me individually and ask me questions about different diagnoses, didn't give them enough information. So, hey, you get to take it in another year. Well, 3 years later, after I graduated from Spalding, on the third attempt, I passed it. I passed it, licensed psychologist. Then nobody'd hire me because there were too many psychologists or other types of mental health professionals in Louisville. I never thought about going outside of Louisville, even in the rural areas, which were the ones that wanted people. So I shared this in an earlier video. I put applications in everywhere, all the mental health facilities. They all said, "You're hired. Call back tomorrow. We'll set you up with the human resource department," and they wouldn't accept my phone calls. Finally, where I had done an internship, Our Lady of Peace, I knew a Dennis Cameron who was a clinical psychologist. We brushed shoulders every once in a while. He was kind of likable, and but he was also head of a hospital, the outpatient area, alcohol and drug section. I thought, well, surely I have a chance of getting a job there. So I went to him, and I had my resume, and he looked at my resume, and he knew I did an internship there in alcohol and drugs at Our Lady of Peace, because that's where we met. So he said, "Well, I tell you what, if you had 3 years of experience in alcohol and drug treatment, we would have hired you. Or if you'd have had an ongoing alcohol or drug problem and gotten rehab, we would have hired you. But just go ahead and take your resume back." Okay, so I do that, and I even tried to sell Watkins products door to door. That's how desperate I was. And finally, he calls me up about a year later, after he had told me, don't apply here. He says, "Have you been hired anywhere?" I said, "No." He says, "Look, our facility needs someone quick that can do outpatient counseling, which you did at Our Lady of Peace. If you'll come in tomorrow, we'll go ahead and get you set up, and you'll be a part-time. We'll start you at 20 hours, and if you do real good, you can work yourself up to 40 hours or full-time. You'll have no benefits, and you'll get a whole $8 an hour." So I said, "Man, that sounds great." So that was my job. And then he left to go in private practice, and I got his job, if you can believe that. And then at University of Louisville, they had a hospital called University Humana Hospital. Humana had it. They found out that I was one of the few therapists that enjoyed working with addicts, so they hired me on the weekend. I'm working at Charter Hospital on the weekdays, and then another company, HMO, called United Behavioral Systems, called me and asked me if I would cover as a substitute, because they're the head of the substance abuse department at their HMO. HMO means it's Health Maintenance Organization. He wasn't making it in all the time. He was a past addict. Nothing wrong with that. He had beaten his problem, but he thought it was better to talk to someone privately if they called him than to come into work, because he thought he could get whoever called him some help. So I get a phone call, and then all of a sudden they offered me a job I couldn't refuse. So I share all that till all of a sudden I applied to be the director of a not health maintenance organization, but a director of a community mental health facility here in Madison, where I worked for 3 years, hiring, firing. 50% of my time had to be with seeing people at night. I had to go to the hospital if a person was needing mental health or substance abuse evaluation and transfer to a facility such as a rehab center. And I got tired of that after 3 years. So I arranged it to where I resigned and wrote to every insurance company and employee assistance programs, are called EAPs, as for application. A lot of them turned me down because there were so many people at that time that was applying to be on their networks. I kept trying till I got on, as far as I know, got onto all of them. If not all, there may have been 2 or 3 that went out of business while I was trying to push forward. So I would see people for free because I wasn't on the networks yet. Found a place to rent, opened my doors, and I saw people free. Didn't ask for a penny. And then all of a sudden, someone from a huge facility that was in 7 counties saw my door open and said, Are you too busy to take on a contract with us to see people with drugs and alcohol? We'll pay you well. Well, that made my day. It took me a while to learn their system and get started, but that was the beginning of how I was able to make enough money to retire. But I did have a downfall that you'll hear about in other videos, of losing all my money at one particular time with a business setback. I also had a publishing company. And all this sounds jumbled, I know. I lost all my money in the publishing field. I did CDs, and I did paperback books. Did hardback books too. I self-published a lot of my own books when I was in college. If you don't believe me, just look on Amazon. And so I regained all the money after I lost it in business and the stock market, and regained it. And then First thing I did when I regained it was paid off this house, put money into retirement again, and continued seeing people, even though I didn't need to. I continued seeing people. They had problems with alcohol, with heroin, with gambling. I was licensed for all these things. That's why they sent them to me. That's why insurance companies and other facilities would send these people to me, and I thought somebody's got to help these people. And so I never said no. Well, there comes a point when your health gets to the point where it's best to slow down and then say no. So you can read my mind on that one. I do want to thank you for watching this. And let me just say one thing. As I was failing upward, that last job, that last contract I had was unbelievably profitable. But I had to fail and fail and fail and keep going and trying again and trying again and trying again till I got there. Hope this has inspired you. If you like it, feel free to hit like. If you want to subscribe, I don't have many people subscribing. I guess that's because I'm probably not too professional, and I'm down here in my dungeon. Take care. Bye-bye now.